All right, let's go ahead and come in today, and we're going to take a quick look at this Lasonic TRC-931 Portable Stereo. And my original intention for this was a full-length video, but unfortunately time has not been on my side lately, and I just couldn't pull off a full-length video for this and get this repair kind of in the pipeline and get it taken care of in a timely fashion. So this unit belongs to Benny. He lives in California. He got in touch with me quite a while ago about getting this repaired for his dad. He says his dad bought this brand new back in the day. And I would imagine this is definitely from the golden era of this type of electronics, early mid-1980s. And also I want to apologize. The return shipping label for this does have Danny on it. So in the event that I pronounced your name wrong, man, I am sorry about that. But anyway, we're going to take a quick look at what I'd done to it. When I got it, it did not, neither tape deck worked. It also had an issue with record and also had some scratchiness in the controls. But I got it all worked out. I even did a little cleaning on this as I went along. The unit is in pretty good shape right now, but it had a lot of paint spots on it where it had been in an environment where someone had been painting. And right now I do have the back half of it off because I'm going to show you what I've done to it and also show you the back part of it, which houses the transformer for the internal power supply. I believe it either took a little shipping damage on the way here, or maybe it had been dropped at some point in its life, but that transformer broke away from the back cover of this, and so I had to fabricate a different way to put it back on there, so I'll show you that. But we'll turn it up. It is quite loud. 8-inch woofers here. It's got some tweeters up in here. And it's pretty loud for what it is.
The new Big 106.5, the Quad Cities classic hit station. Cyndi Lauper, Girls Just Want to Have Fun. She's known as the first woman.
That would have been about a right song for about this time period for this thing. Of course, we're going to load it up with some music I'd prefer to hear in it and check out the tape decks. But before we do that, let me flip it around and kind of just give you a tour of it. And honestly, from the looks of the front of it, you would think this thing is full of electronics, but that is not the case. It is actually very scaled down. There's not a lot to it. So let's take a quick look at it. So give me a second. I'll flip it around and we'll do a quick tour. All right, as we come back in, we're going to take a quick tour of this thing. Haven't put the back cover back on it just so I could do this video and kind of show you what this thing's all about. Starting with the speakers here, we do have a Lucky branded, I believe that's what that says, Lucky there, 8-inch white cone woofer, chrome dust caps, and these are pretty big for the, for the stereo. I believe the biggest radio that I had at one point was a Panasonic that had maybe 6.5-inch woofers in it, but these are pretty good size, and they use them pretty effectively in this stereo. We got some small tweeters up here. These are got the Lucky brand name on them, and they're all 4 ohms. 4 ohms for the tweeter, 4 ohms for the woofer. They got the tuner board mounted right here. I'll show you another problem I found with this. If I can get a light up in here. Let's see, right here on the dial indicator, one of those tabs, and I'll see if I can get something to point at it with. This tab right here that the dial cord catches underneath, it was broke off on that side. And so what I did was I drilled a hole there and put just a small piece of a plastic straw from, like a can of contact cleaner in there to hold that string up so this thing wouldn't sit so weird. I couldn't go up any higher, so it does sit just a little off balance, but it's way better than it was before. So that got a little improvement out of that. 2 tape decks. We've got a auto reverse car mechanism mounted right here in the center of this thing, and then down below we have the single playback and record deck. This mechanism looks very familiar, especially if you've done any work on lower end boom boxes. This is the mechanism that they used a lot back in the day for these type. Lucky for us, I wasn't too concerned about this. Definitely a speed control here, but this one has a speed control as well. So I was able to change the belts out of both decks no goo. These weren't gooed up. The belts were just dry rotted and fell apart. I found most of them laying in the bottom right here. And so I got those taken care of and got the speed adjusted on both. Get up to the main circuitry here where you'll find the two amplifiers. They're using dual AFPOs, one for each speaker, I would imagine. I didn't look up the number on those, but if they're not single channel AFPOs, then they're probably duals being used in bridge mode. And again, using those very effectively here with these 8-inch woofers. I've got the power supply disconnected since it's on the back of the unit, subbing in my own 12 volts here to operate the unit while I was checking everything out. Got the unit tape decks repaired, and then from that point, could not come up with why this thing wasn't recording. When you would put it into record, of course it has the old manual record playback switch here. I got a very low distorted record signal on the tape, and generally I would point myself to the record playback switch for that, or think that that would be what would be causing it, just simply because those switches are notorious for causing problems, although that is not one problem I've really experienced with these type of switches. So I took that switch completely out of the board, cleaned it up, put it back in there, still no change. I went through a bunch of different caps around here, and of course I looked online for a schematic for this. I did find a place where you could buy a service manual for it. I didn't do that. I figured it was simplistic enough that I could probably figure it out if I just had enough time to do it. So I changed a few caps up in here, which all were just kind of on the borderline. I probably wouldn't have changed them unless I was looking for this record problem. But you would think, since this is the record circuit, you would find this coil right here over in this section, but it's way over here. And there is a 100 mic cap right here that was causing the problem. So if you have one of these and it records a pretty shitty signal, you might want to look at this cap right here as being the cause of that. I didn't do any adjustment to this coil. All I did was simply change the cap value for value, and it worked perfectly. Other than that, I don't think I did anything else. I had all the boards out at one time. The board behind here where the controls are at and the switches, I took all that out and cleaned up the switches so everything worked the way that it was supposed to. And that way you didn't have any intermittent dropouts or anything like that. As far as the bottom of the unit is concerned, I did a lot of cleaning interior on this. It was pretty dirty. These wires running from one side of the speakers to the other, I just got some green tape and taped them down to the bottom of this just to kind of keep them out of the way. But yeah, I did do a lot of cleaning on the unit, and it turned out pretty good based on, I should have probably done a before picture that I could have showed you, but based on what I received, it's looking pretty good now. So let me go ahead and pick up with you in a second, and we're going to take a look at the back of this unit. All right, let's go ahead and come back in and we'll have a look at the back panel of this unit. And when I received it, the back portion of it was kind of like had a gap between the front portion and the back. And I noticed that a couple of the posts on the inside piece had broken away. So like it had a little bit of shipping damage. The transformer was just rattling around the bottom of the unit, wasn't even connected. So a lot of the posts had broken away, but there was enough left that I took a longer screw with a washer and got the transformer kind of sit in place. But I knew that probably wouldn't be good for the long haul. There's a potential there it could break away again. So what I did was just drilled a couple of holes opposite of each other and installed a black wire tie through there, a pretty thick wire tie, just as a backup for the transformer, to keep that transformer in place. And I don't think there'll be an issue with that. As long as there's not any abuse, that should hold up just fine. The board for the power supply, the transformer broke away, and when it did, it pulled both of these wires right off with the traces. So I had to do a little work there to get that put back together, but that all turned out okay. Power supply works just fine. The unit had a broken antenna on it. I didn't have a full length antenna that stretches from one side to the other, but I did have a pretty nice antenna that looks good and is nice and straight. So I replaced that. So he's got the aesthetics of a not broke antenna. Here's the old one right here. And here's the caps that I wound up changing, chasing down that record problem. So that's pretty much it. When I get ready to put this back together, this is the inside post of the front piece. You can see some of that's broken away. Not all of it. So I've got some spacers that I'm going to use to shore that up when I put the back and the front together. So before I do any of that, let's go ahead and let's do a quick demo on both of these tape decks and show you what this thing can do. So give me a moment for that and we'll pick back up. All right, let's come back in and we're going to take a quick demonstration of the tape decks on this unit. Most notably, right front and center, the auto reverse car tape mechanism they have in this guy. In case you want to play your tape back and forth 20 times, you are certainly good to go if that's the feature that you're looking for. There is metal tape capability here in case you're using a metal tape and you want to record on this. No noise reduction though. That was a little bit more than this company was going to afford for this unit. So let's check out the bottom tape deck first in this. I got it loaded up with one of the last tapes I have from back in the day. It's a copy of Raven's album, Stay Hard. So let's check out a little bit of this here. And I had the volume about halfway right there, and it was causing the audio on the camera to kind of go a little overboard. So I'll spare you that distortion in case you're using headphones while you're watching this video. Let's check out the top tape deck here. Car loading. All right, let's switch it over to the reverse side here. And to eject that tape out, you just simply push down on that lever and it spits it right out just like a car deck. All right, let's set it up and we'll do a quick record with it. Give me 1 second for that. I'll put an antenna on the radio and we'll do it from the radio. Although you can record from that top tape deck if you want to, but we'll do it from the radio here. So give me a second for that. All right, let's go ahead and pick back up and we'll do our quick record test here. I installed a clip lead on the antenna line on the tuner board. Not using anything fancy, just a standard Maxell normal bias tape. Let's reset our counter. Let's kick it in here, see what it'll do.
Van Halen on 97X, the Quad Cities Classic Rock Authority.
All right, let's back that up and see what we got here.
Vinny Yellen on 97X, the Quad City.
So it does about what we would expect from this mechanism and this circuitry. Not a bad recording for what it is. And again, it will do tape to tape, so we'll do one of those real quick too. We'll just use the same tape we were using for the playback demonstration. All right, we'll stop it there. We'll have to take this tape out. This deck will not run in play as long as there's a tape playing in this, but it will go into the record mode. So let's go ahead and back it up. A few clicks here. All right, turn it up a little bit, and this will be the tape to tape record quality. So not too bad. I mean, pretty typical for what you would expect from this type of mechanism and the circuitry provided here. I think the emphasis when this portable stereo was sold was basically on the loudness of it, not so much the quality of the tape decks. But they did give you the auto reverse front and center there in case you want to spin your tape a few different times without having to take it out and flipping it over. And the unit does have a line-in feature on it. There's an owner's manual online for this. I had to read it several times just to make sure I was understanding how this is supposed to operate. So on the function switch, you've got tape, radio, and phono, which that is a ceramic phono input. But there is no function for line-in. So if you hook, for instance, your phone or your CD player into the line-in, it doesn't make any difference what position this switch is in. It overrides all of that. You can have a tape playing, you can have the radio, have it on the radio function, and that line-in signal overrides it all. And of course, you can record from that if you want to. Now, when you have an input going into the phono, you do have selectability between all three sources. But as far as the line-in is concerned, it overrides everything. So I'm not real crazy about that. Not a big fan of no noise reduction on the unit, but that's okay. Again, this was sold for its massive amount of loudness that it can produce. Other jacks on the unit, you do have external speaker jacks, 3.5. You do have external 12-volt car adapter jack if you want to run it in your car off the car battery. And it also has a set of line out jacks. But that line output is not very loud. It's fine if you're running it to another amplifier, but as far as running it into the mixer over here, we only had about 50 to 60% of the level that I would want in order to do a recording on tape from the line out source. Didn't think that it showed up very well in the because of the shadow of the fluorescent light on this, but there is 5 LED segments for the left and for the right here, 2 green stationary LEDs that stay on all the time, and those do work just fine. The tuner also has a shortwave band on it. I didn't try that, but they did include it on here. And other than that, we do have auto level control, which is what I was using, but it does have a adjustable record level, which also works. There's also a mic mixing function on this in case you want to sing along with your favorite tapes while you're having your party. But otherwise, very cool old radio. Definitely does have a little bit of a cult following. They have a very good resale value on eBay. Even one of these in broke condition sells for a pretty good chunk of change. But this one is looking pretty good. Got it cleaned up real nice, and it presents very well now. And he even has the battery door for the battery compartment. 10D batteries is what you'll need if you want to run this bad boy on batteries. From that point, you'll probably need a back brace to carry it around because it'd be so heavy. But all in all, a very, very cool old portable stereo. And again, I want to apologize. I did intend on doing a full-length video for this. Time just wasn't on my side to do it. So at the very least, we have a quick look video of it. And as always, I want to thank you guys very much. I appreciate you checking out this video as well as all the videos on the channel. And thanks for reaching out to me. If you sent me an email, don't always have time to get back to those right away, but I will get back to them as soon as time allows. And I will catch you guys on the next full-length video. Until then, thank you very much and appreciate you checking out this one.